I suppose our office, it's a moderate sized office, I suppose, in Irish standards, you know, but at the same time we are actually made up of quite a lot of small offices in one sense, in that every department is virtually an office, so we've had different buy-ins to Keyhouse across the different departments. I'm in the insurance defence area, so we've bought in heavily to it. We have a debt collection department that bought in heavily, and conveyancing bought in heavily. Some of the other more specialised teams would not buy in heavily, but they would use it for some basic functionality, gathering of information. But the one thing that's standard across, you know, the joy of Keyhouse, I suppose, for me, and you'll gather from the way I talk that I'm a bit of an enthusiast about technology. The buy-in, I suppose, and one of the important things is the ability to manage the information and to manage the risks. And the one thing that's common to any case that's open in our practice is that there's a mandatory file review plonked into the case the moment the file is opened, and that is monitored centrally inside in our office, so their cases cannot get ignored, and if cases start to go stale, they're spotted. The other thing that goes in there are statute dates. All of these things have to go in, and they're absolutely mandatory, and for good reason. I suppose one of the other great things that came out of Keyhouse from our point of view is the KPIs. They were a curse. They took about 1.5 years to design. I know we were involved a little bit in it. But from our point of view, every fee earner in the office has access to their KPIs now. I don't know if you all know what the KPIs are, but basically they're the bar chart at the top that tells you where you are with your time charge for the month, where you are with your how much your recoveries have been for the month. But much more importantly, from my point of view, down along the list is a total of the outlays that your files have that the office owes to the bank. It shows you a list of your dormant files, so anything that is over 6 months of age without an activity having happened on it is highlighted. And there are a number of other useful ones, such as overdue tasks. And another one, of course, is client funds, so you can see how much client funds you've got, and very often you go in there and you suddenly find that you have money that you'd utterly forgotten about, and you probably there's a possibility in breach of law society regulations and such like, so you quickly correct the situation. But there's a minefield of information. The fact that we gave that access out to every fee earner in the office, I think, has paid dividends. It's given everyone a little bit of control. It's given everyone a target to work to as well. So to my mind, that's a very useful tool from the accounts perspective. I've only been given 5 minutes, so I'll run through this very quickly. The other joy, I suppose, for me is reports. I love reports. I have them coming out my ears, as the lads will tell. So every report that Keyhouse have put up there, I have a good look at every now and again. We've gone a little bit beyond that, in that we've gone back into the Crystal, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with Crystal in the background, which is kind of a database product which sits in the background, but allows you to interrogate the entire system, be it across case management or be it across the account system, the accounts information and the figures. So you can actually integrate all of that information into one report. So we now, if I want to report to an insurance company, be it in a spreadsheet format, I can put in the insurance company code, press a button, and out will splurge 100 pages, literally like that, in soft form, which can be emailed on to the client. Anyone who's using the debt collection package is probably familiar with it, in the sense of, if you're doing credit unions, before we took the package on the debt collection side of it, we did credit union work, and the girl who's in charge of debt collection used to sit down for about a week in advance, going to the last Word version of the report she sent to the client, and she'd go through it and she'd methodically bring it up to date. Now the girls are all trained into putting in the notes into the appropriate place, and literally at the end of the month, there's a 3-month period, she presses a button and the report is generated. But even more so, from the Keyhouse point of view, the client can now come in from externally and press the button themselves and generate the report for themselves, or generate a report on a specific matter, bang up to date at any time. All very useful information. Going back to the insurance company, I have the ability now to produce the one line, just the basic information, notice of trial reserve, whatever happens to be. Or equally, I've now developed one, I'm just playing with one, actually it's just about ready, it's called my Snapshot, and I'm running this out in our section. And basically you can go into any litigation matter, put in the code under the report section up on the top of your Keyhouse, and put in the file reference, press a button, and it literally will produce a 1, 2, 3, 4 page report on where the file stands. It'll give you all the information about who the plaintiff is, dates of birth, the information where the accident happened, how it happened, what our tactics are, where we see the case going, and such like. I can produce that for one file, I can produce it for every file for the client. There's a good bit of work done in the background of that, but it's working quite well. But again, it is, as always, the case of garbage in, garbage out, so there's an awful lot of control has to be done on that before it's released out to client level. But from our point of view, at any one time now, if we're reviewing a file, I'll very often just do the snapshot. It tells me where I am, and I can see exactly, it kind of combines all the advices we've done throughout the history of the file. And I suppose the one other thing, just, again, unfamiliar with what you guys do with it, the case user fields are perhaps one of the most undervalued tools as far as I'm concerned on the Keyhouse system, which is basically, the little bits where you might put in the list number or something, and I don't know what you'd record, or little bits, nuggets of information. But the case user fields can actually, they were limited, I think, when they came out to us originally at 500 characters, and I know case user fields that are 10,000 characters because we simply had so much information to put into them. But if you can, for example, do your initial letter to your client and automate it in the sense that your secretary, when she's filling in the letter, is asked questions and she answers those questions into logical case user fields. Those case user fields are then accessible in the database, and they're the core ingredient to keeping a database of the information on the file as opposed to the accounts information on the file. Lads, I could talk for hours. I'll see you afterwards. Cheers.